From the moment of birth, none of us know what our future holds. For witches, however, it is a completely different story. In a peaceful forest, the protagonist, Coco, suddenly brought a basin of water to wash clothes. Because of a single piece of fabric, she accidentally polluted the entire water source. Once finished with the laundry, the little girl gathered her things and explained to a nearby deer, "This stream will soon return to normal because it has been enchanted." Indeed, as soon as Coco stepped onto the shore, the water became so crystal clear that the deer nearby could drink to its heart's content without a single worry. Every time she admired such beauty, Coco could only exclaim that magic was truly wonderful. In this world filled with miracles, only witches can cast spells. Ordinary people, like Coco, can only be on the receiving end. Those born as witches are often considered lucky. Coco was not among them, so she could only sit and daydream, occasionally getting an impulse to chant spells to turn handkerchiefs into flying capes, only for them to be swept away by the wind, leaving her scrambling to chase after them. By chance, she noticed a flying carriage landing right in front of her house. Excitedly, she hung her towel back in its place and rushed downstairs. But in her haste, the young girl accidentally bumped into a guest. Seeing Coco timidly apologizing, the stranger kindly let it go and quietly observed 3 women competing to choose fabrics. Seeing this, Coco quickly realized they were the guests who had arrived by the flying carriage. However, the polite young man was different. He had come to find smoke-colored fabric, but seeing the family so busy, he stood and waited a moment. Hearing this, Coco offered to take measurements for the guest, mainly to score points with her mother so she would be allowed to see the flying carriage. "I promise I'll only look and won't touch anything," she said. Not wanting to disappoint her daughter, the mother reluctantly agreed, on the condition that the girl finished her work early. At this, Coco jumped for joy and set to work. After receiving the sketch from the guest, Coco went to fetch the roll of smoke-colored fabric and began measuring, carefully using a ruler and meticulously marking the lines. She took a deep breath and drew a perfectly straight line, finally taking the scissors to cut along it neatly. Coco's intense concentration deeply impressed the guest. The fabric was cut cleanly and decisively. The result was so precise and careful that it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it a miracle. Coco was too embarrassed to accept the compliment because magic was something mysterious, precious, beautiful, and above all, sacred. Her love for magic stemmed from a festival trip to a castle. In that secluded place, the young girl had met a masked witch. Seeing that Coco was innocent and knew nothing of magic, the stranger explained, "Magic is a miracle that brings color to the world. It could be a flying carriage in the sky, an eternal stream where the water is always clear, or even pebbles that glow when you step on them." Coco found that magic so shimmering and ethereal that she fell in love with it. Excitedly spending money to buy a magic book to show her mother, she spoke incessantly about that encounter and wished to become a witch when she grew up. However, that dream was quickly extinguished by her mother. Coco could not be a witch if she wasn't born with magic. Ordinary people do not have the ability to become witches. In response, the girl firmly insisted she had magic because the paths glowed the moment she stepped on them. Ironically, the glow quickly vanished as soon as the mother and daughter left the castle. This proved that Coco had no magic, as she had thought. Hearing this, the guest was curious and wanted to know more information to confirm, but before he could speak, a loud noise suddenly erupted outside. Coco curiously ran out to check and saw that the carriage had overturned. Upon asking, she learned that 2 mischievous boys had played a prank by crawling under the chassis, accidentally startling the 2 horses and causing the carriage to flip. Now bowing and apologizing wouldn't solve anything. The flying carriage was broken, and there was no way to return home. Moreover, it was borrowed, so they would be in big trouble with their father. Seeing that the damage wasn't too severe, the guest offered to help. He put on his hat and introduced himself. "I am the witch Kifri." Upon hearing this, everyone felt relieved and asked for his help, joyfully thanking the witch. Coco excitedly asked her mother to let him use their family workshop, hoping she could watch him perform magic to repair the carriage. Unfortunately, Coco was tasked with standing guard outside to ensure no one saw what was happening inside. This left the girl disappointed. Why wasn't she allowed to watch? There are many types of magic in this world that we don't know how to perform Only witches know those secret arts. Suddenly, she spotted the two boys from earlier sneakily approaching the house. Even when caught, they refused to leave. Seeing how stubborn they were, Coco decided to join them and take a look. She nervously opened the window to peek, but it was completely covered, leaving her to sadly accept reality without being able to do anything. Just then, a towel flew straight into her, and Coco suddenly remembered she hadn't closed the upstairs door. She sneaked inside to pick up her book and struggled with her inner conscience, but in the end, her curiosity won out. She peeked through, only to be instantly captivated by Quifrey's drawings. He is drawing magic with a pen, not using a wand like I thought. Magic isn't an incantation. It is something that is drawn. Because she was so engrossed, Coco almost forgot her guard duty. Luckily, she rushed back outside just in time and wasn't discovered. After the carriage repairs were completed, the mother and daughter said their goodbyes to Quifrey that same afternoon. Initially, the mother thought Coco would insist on going with the witch, but to her surprise, the girl was more well-behaved than expected. The family had lost the father to illness, so the mother didn't want to be away from her daughter at all. Coco had never thought about leaving and didn't want to leave her mother alone. She still wanted to stay by her side and eat meals with her. Life was simple, but extremely happy. That night, before returning to her room, the mother intended to say something to her daughter but then decided against it. Coco didn't ask any questions and simply wished her mother good night. Once inside, she took a deep breath and took out her tools to research. The magic wand was actually a pen, and the gem on top was an inkwell. Coco wouldn't leave her mother, but she absolutely had to try this. She focused on drawing scribbles on paper, only to realize they had no effect. No miracle occurred. However, magic truly happened the moment a drop of ink fell. That very drop connected and completed the magic circle, creating a beautiful firework display that made Coco overjoyed. She danced around the room in bliss before scolding herself, telling herself she would play one last time and then sat back down at the desk to continue drawing. Deep in the forest, Quifrey couldn't sleep after hearing Coco's story. Something about the book with the drawings the girl possessed didn't seem right. In her excitement, Coco almost burned down the room with a fire spell. Luckily, she extinguished it in time. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster. The little girl quickly realized that larger drawings held more power than small ones, and those drawn carefully lasted longer than sloppy ones. After some thought, Coco came up with the idea to trace the lines underneath. Meticulously, she drew over the paper without realizing the danger. By the time Quifrey arrived to stop her, it was already too late. The spell had been activated, and he could only grab her and fly outside. He repeatedly demanded, "What magic did you draw?" But Coco had no idea. "I just drew according to the pictures in the book." In an instant, the house was encased in layers of stone. Her mother, unaware of the danger, became a victim of it, swallowed whole before her daughter's very eyes. No matter how much Coco wanted to save her mother, it was useless, because it was forbidden magic. Nevertheless, the girl wouldn't listen and tried to rush into the danger. Quifrey had to hold her back with all his might to pull the stubborn girl away. It was natural that Coco didn't know, as these things were kept secret to prevent such tragedies. As long as one has special ink and predetermined sigils, anyone can perform magic. Since the girl had discovered the ultimate secret of witches, Quifrey was forced to erase her memory. But when he realized Coco might have memorized the entire book, Quifrey changed his mind and asked if she remembered what the book looked like. Coco nodded and replied, "I remember the sigils inside very clearly. If we find a similar book, can you save my mother?" The young girl sincerely begged the witch not to erase her memory. "I am willing to do anything to save my mother." Quifrey accepted the request on the condition that Coco must keep the secret and join the ranks of the secret keepers to retain her memories. This meant that from now on, she would become a witch. That was exactly what Coco had always dreamed of.